Hey, how you doing, man? Can you hear me? Cool, cool. Who knows what was happening? How you doing, man? Like, oh shit. Start hearing that echo chamber, man. You just come from work or school? Cool. What's your major? Ah. Typical video game player. Yeah, not all, but many. Computer science was the answer, guys. I know you can't hear. You can now hear. I was just a bit slow to unmute my stream PC. There we go. All good. You guys can let us know how the levels are. I think we're pretty good. I think I got it to the right level. Awesome, man. All right. Let's get organized. Sorry, I'm a little slow today. Whereabouts do you live? What city again?
Minneapolis, Minnesota, USA.
Oh shit. It's fucking cold there, man. You're in the opposite.
Yeah.
It's cold. Wait, why don't you... Oh, wait, so Minneapolis, that's like one of the biggest cities there. Is that the capital of Minnesota?
So there's two really big cities in Minnesota, and they're right next to each other. So just call them the Twin Cities. It's pretty much the capital.
Okay. What's the other one?
St. Paul, which is actually the capital.
Oh, okay. Oh, right, but it's like, yeah, it's literally kind of like one big
Yeah, they're like
metropolis.
on top of each other.
Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, that's not like quite at the very north though, right? That's why you don't sound Canadian.
Right.
Whereas if you go to like the far north of Minnesota, everyone sounds Canadian, right?
Everyone outside the city sounds Canadian.
Okay. It's like it's not quite Canadian, it's almost Canadian. Like it is its own accent, of course, but I love the Minnesota accent. It's so good. That's why I'm like, oh, I'm so sad you have just a normie city boy accent.
I'm sorry.
It's so shit, man.
Such a letdown.
It's so sad. All right, sweet as man. Let's get your Google Drive open. I'm gonna link it to you here on Discord. This is gonna make it really easy. Do you have any notes or anything that you'd written out by any chance? If not, it's fine.
No.
Okay. I know Australia's a big old nerd. He's in chat, so he's written out some notes, and I'd love him to add those in for me into the document if he can, so I can read those later when this afternoon when I'm done my stream, and then we'll set up a time for us to do something. Okay, so what's going on in your practice over the past couple of weeks? I mean, it was like what? It was ages ago. Jesus, it was like 3.5 weeks ago. Almost a month, man. What's been going on?
So I've actually been playing pretty well this week. I beat Stefano, Uthermal, and Gable this week.
Most of your practice is on EU at the moment? I mean, you can't really practice Korea very well, right? You get pretty
Korea has a lot of ping, and I mean, I do like playing on Korea. I think it's really good practice.
What's your ping on different. Korea, and what's your ping
like
on
230?
EU? 230? Oh, that's really rough.
Europe it's like 120, which is not great.
Oh, 120, that's okay though, right? Like, I mean, if you go above 150 as a Terran, it's annoying. But I always say like above 200, 210 is where it becomes really bad. But ping affects Terrans more than the other races, and your style especially, I guess, is so multi-prong and micro-oriented. So yeah, I can see how 120 would handicap you. 230 is gonna make you whoa. That's really gonna fuck with you though. That's like yeah. I mean, it's good practice though, I guess, to experience the different styles, but like that's such a handicap. I would have a hard limit of like 8% of your practice on Korea because it's just like too weird of a practice ground with that much.
It just forces me to like change styles a lot.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like when I play on Korea, I try to focus more on my mech. Just because that's so much less chaotic, I guess.
Cool.
But
I
like,
think that's
a lot of my styles
yeah.
come down to focusing like 20 banelings in a row, and winning games off that.
Yeah, Cuddlebear. That's the style you go for. Nothing like the Cuddlebear style. Practice partners. Have you been practicing much with practice partners lately, or have you been a pure ladder fiend?
I played some games with Jared last week, or Jon Snow, sorry.
Mr. George.
Played some games with Starkiller, played some games with Caleb, Arrakis. I used to practice quite a bit with Estrella. I don't as much right now. Play
Well,
some
that's
games
good.
with
Starkiller and Caleb give you your dose of weird Zerg practice because they're both a bit out there with how they play.
Wait, Caleb plays like super standard. He's like the most standard Zerg on NA.
Really? I guess he
Yeah.
did change that. He used to be kind of
Yeah,
gimmick
yeah,
boy, and he's really been working at getting solid for a long time, actually. That's true. I still think of him as the weird boy because he would do like 2-base lurker in WCS challenges, qualifiers, and shit. And I was like, what are you doing, man? This is crazy. And he'd win crazy games, but it's cool that he's trying to round out his skill set. At some point, it's going to be good for Caleb, I think, to go back to cheesing or mixing it up more. Starkiller's a madman, though. That guy's drunk at the helm 90% of the time. I love Starkiller. He's such a weirdo.
There's so many Zergs that play like Starkiller, and Starkiller is the best Starkiller, so it's actually like not terrible practice.
Yeah, well, he's like the king of NA ladder. I
Yeah,
mean, for getting through
exactly.
your challenger qualifiers, like Starkiller is amazing practice, right? There is a lot of 5.5 to 5.7k Zergs that are going to be kind of lesser versions of him, I guess, right?
Yeah, he's got really unique builds though. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yes, this is definitely future wear coaching, chat. That's sure. I don't know if this is a meme. People call you future.
No, I've never heard this before.
Okay, I don't know.
Maybe
Who
it
knows?
sounded like, I don't know.
This is Cuddlebear, guys. Okay, so mechanically, I kind of did that VOD. You'd watched it. There was a few different things. You said you watched through auto repair hotkey. Did you get used to that? Have you used that at all?
No. Hitting Alt R is just really weird. I should think about it more, but like the times you use auto repair is also pretty low, I think.
It is
So, I don't
really nice when you're defending certain all-ins and stuff. Because, like, I don't know, you've got great mouse accuracy, but I will misclick that once in 1 in 3 times. I go to right-click on the autocast, and it does screw me sometimes if I think it's on.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right?
No, it's definitely something I should be getting used to using.
It's like if you're dealing with like a proxy marauder or some crazy like one-base boss, and you're microing your Reaper in their undefended mineral line, and they're trying to surround it with your, and you're like, it's fine, the SCVs are on auto repair, I can look away for 5 seconds. You look back, your bunker's dead, and you're like, such a dumb way to lose a game. It's pretty small. Alt R is awkward though. It's super awkward, in fact. The way most people would do that is tuck their thumb down and then I guess reach their middle finger or their index finger over to R. It's a little weird, isn't it? I've never been a big fan
it
of
crosses
that.
weirdly. Like your thumb's like halfway under your hand. I don't know.
That's because I assume you plant your wrist down, right, with your keyboard hand.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So a lot of Koreans in Brutal, they train them to have floating hand because they have to reach across. You watch all the Koreans and their hand floats over.
It's
That's
crazy.
very hard to learn. They drilled it into them in Casper, which is like, I think it's really good for you not having wrist issues on your keyboard hand. They all tend to have mouse hand issues for the most part. I was laughing at Home Story Cup. I was watching Solar set up Overlord patrol paths in Zerg vs. Zerg. You know they set them everywhere on the map, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was using the P for patrol and the left-hand side shift. And I was like, what the fuck is he doing? His hands just doing these, like, like the symbol with like the thumb and the pinky both stuck out. He's doing these ones on his keyboard constantly, and I was like, "What is he doing? This is so
That's insane.
awkward."
What in the
I
world?
was like, "Dude, create a custom hotkey for that." And he's like, "Well, played Brood War, played StarCraft 2, stuck in his ways, I guess." But anyway, that's cool. Okay, so auto repair alt is weird. We can't customize that. So the only way we could make it easier is if we made it a key that's easier to press with alt at the same time, and then we change your repair hotkey. Is that a priority? No, we're gonna scrap that for now. I want you though to notice if this happens and record it. Okay, maybe you have like your "I died by fucking up auto repair" checklist, and if you tally up that happens a few times over a few weeks, we revisit this. If it never happens, don't worry about it.
Okay. I have another question on that. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
But,
Go.
I typically don't use auto repair.
Oh, you don't? I thought you used it in that one scenario though, in the replay, right? In the VOD. I'm sure I saw you right click on it.
There was one instance. Do you remember exactly why though? Because very rarely do I use it, but when I'm being like all in or something, I've had way too many games where I've lost to actually having auto repair on, and they like click on an SCV and all the SCVs go haywire, or like my orbital's low, so they'll run back and start repairing it. Like I've just lost way too many games to that. So
yeah, well, like you want to use the SCVs as blockers and combat units, right? And the A move,
yeah,
but then they just start repairing, and you're like, oh shit, I have to turn it off now before I can use them as combat units again.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
I think I use it when I tank push Protoss. I know that.
Oh yeah, like
just
just like 3 SCVs on the tank. Yeah. Okay, cool.
But
that was probably what I saw you do. I'm not really sure. It may have been defensive. Just keep your eye on it. So this is one of these things. It's aware. You're mentally aware of it. You as a player. And we will try to. I'll try and encourage you to be a bit more kind of review focused every now and then, because that's the one thing we never do enough as StarCraft players, right? Is review our own play. So just try to keep that in the back of your head. If it fucks you up or you misclick that multiple times, we'll revisit it. The depot builder was an interesting one. And the reason I kind of went on that is this is something where it's like, you know, when I'm talking to a noob or a newer player or someone in Platinum or Diamond, and like, you just build depots non-stop. Now, obviously, if you commit to a hard timing attack, you lose a bunch of shit. You should not continue building depots, right? There are certain builds where there's a point where you know you're going to sacrifice units and you actually cut building depots, right? You break the habit, but then you got to restart it. A third command center is finishing, you can skip a depot and then restart it, right? For efficiency's sake. But you mentioned supply blocks being a big problem before we actually coached. And that's why I kind of wanted to revisit that and think about, is there a way we can build the depot builder as like a mini system in place? Because you were hitting your depots just fine in the VOD as I watched. I didn't get to see the mistakes being made. In fact, actually, do you have a replay? Let's just throw a replay up on screen for both the stream and just so we can look at some of your recent games while we chat through all this theory. So if you just host up a replay for us and take us through while we talk about this, that'll probably be time efficient for us as well, because I can kind of see some of your recent play at the same time.
Okay, this was a decent game.
Cool.
I don't play much on this account, so it's, you know, finding replays is a little tricky.
No worries. You've bundle of sticks, no doubt, and other, you know, I'm sure. Maybe that. Maybe playing on a few of those accounts. Yep.
Yeah.
Sure says it was actually defensive versus Protoss on Winter's Gate. Protoss was attacking you, and you put your SCVs on auto repair to defend a bunker. Is what the auto repair was used for. Thankfully, Sure has an incredible memory. Good job, man. Cool. Okay, so continuing to talk about the don't even care about the replay really for now. We're just having something on screen, right? So yeah, with the depot builders, like when do you think you fall apart? Is it just when you're getting counterattack that you hit supply blocks a lot? Because you said you were really bad with macro and supply blocks, but I mean, I don't know how much you're exaggerating.
If anything at all happens in the game that puts me in a weird spot where every single depot is not nailed to the second, I fall apart with my macro. Like, I just have no idea what I'm doing anymore.
Do you find, like, if you're at like 60 supply, are you like, oh yeah, it's right after my tech lab on my starport goes down, I build my 62 supply depot or something? Are you like that detailed with how you remember it?
Almost, I would say, like with some builds that I don't have completely flushed out, obviously not that detailed, but yeah, I know pretty much everything down to the second, I would say. Okay,
awesome. Cool. I mean, this is something obviously I'm learning from you as much as otherwise. I think there's definitely something to be said, right? Like for those shifting priorities and the ability to kind of roll with some sort of flexible system of priorities in terms of what we focus on might be really good. Can we go down to just regular speed? I'll just lock it on your camera just so the viewers have something to put their eyes on. And okay. So we've got it with depots. The problem is really that. Okay.
And then also, like, some games I make too many depots, other games I make, too few, or I miss one here and there, and missing one is Terran. Like, especially like TVP, it's just game over. Like, you try to hit this timing, and all of a sudden you have 10 less supply, and they've got zealots.
So, all right, let's keep talking about depots. Let's fast forward this game. So let's go up to speed up a bit. And let's try and just, like, this game, we've got a ton of free supply, right? So that's because we went fast third CC. So yeah, you're not meant to start building depots this early when you go fast third CC. So we can see you don't have this build very ironed out. Do you not play a lot of 3cc versus Zerg?
So I think this game I screwed up. I made my first depot at like the standard time, and my second depot starting when my third depot should be starting, but my third depot is already done. So I'm just like one depot ahead. With that, I know that this is wrong. I am just happened this game, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like you're almost 2 depots ahead, right?
So the first one, the third depot should start 420. Right. And you should be making them consistently from there on. And then around like 85 supply, you should start making 2 depots.
Okay. Okay, cool. And that's specific to this 3cc build, right?
Yes.
That's cool.
To most 3cc builds, actually.
Okay, cool. Yeah, about 85 supply. I mean, that 85 supply would probably be lining up with, basically, that's like just after you've got double eBay, 5 barracks up, armories down, right? It would kind of be around that same point, I imagine, as 85 supply usually. It's like you've got all your production down. Your add-ons aren't ready necessarily. Your upgrades aren't necessarily all rolling. Your armory is probably still in production. You're about that much. Okay, cool. So let's keep an eye on that, because I'd like to just jump through a few games and really dig into that supply depot, and that, like, if we can find a chaotic game where you fall apart, that'd be great as well. We can obviously watch this game and talk about this one as well. Other than that, there was like the boxing thing that was interesting, but not that important and not something I'm going to press you on. But the little drill of dragging boxes from at least 2 different corners, because we only saw you do in one very high intensity moment. You dragged, I think it was top right to bottom left, as opposed to top left to bottom right. But you were almost always going the other way. So at the start of the game, I mean, are you dragging boxes over the mineral line guy, or are you just spamming camera locations and kind of jumping around to your hotkeys?
At the start of the game, or
the very start?
So recently, Scarlett called me out on this, and because I was just spamming camera location hotkeys, because I just learned them either this July or last July. I actually forget. So I didn't use camera location hotkeys till, I don't know, either between 6 months or 18 months ago. And so for a while I was spamming them a lot to get used to them, but now it's kind of moved away from that. And like I've been trying to, like the starter games, like individually click SCVs or individually select like certain SCVs.
Oh, really?
To work on my mouse accuracy more.
Mouse accuracy, awesome.
Because I actually think my mouse accuracy is not great, or it could be improved, and it has improved a lot since I've started doing this.
That's a cool little exercise. Okay, I really like that. I think that's more important, to be honest, than figuring out the dragging. I think keep doing that one. That's really cool. Definitely, at some point, you could change it, though, and try to build in the start dragging boxes from different sides. Because, like, I'm always dragging both top corners at the start of the game. That's just what I do by default. So it does make me, in high-pressure situations, I can very comfortably drag either top corner very, very easily. Makes it a bit easier with certain splits because I'm just so confident kind of dragging on either side. If you could do bottom boxes comfortably as well, that's great. I think there's something to do with just the muscles in your hand that boxes from the bottom are never going to feel as controlled. I'm not sure of the exact physiology. Someone said this, and it sounds right, because, hey, it feels friggin' awful.
It does feel really weird, yeah.
I'm going to trust that guy on Twitter who said that without actually putting in the time to experiment with it. Where obviously if I wanted to test it, I would actually just have to grind dozens or hundreds of games, let the muscle memory kick in, and then be like, oh, actually, no, I just needed to strengthen the muscle, and then it was fine. Because, like, for instance, I used to never use my pinkies on my keyboard at all, other than, like, holding down the thing. So certain fingers I never used were really weak. And then when I started 10-finger typing and also just practicing with the core, now I can use every finger, and they all feel much more controlled, whereas they felt so uncontrolled for a while there. You are using all 10 fingers, I imagine, all 5 fingers on your hand, right?
I believe so. That's not exactly something I pay attention to.
Okay, put your hand on your keyboard the way you would normally, resting position. Do you have your pinky extended straight to the left over kind of control and shift?
Yeah, it's on like caps lock, yeah.
Cool. It's on caps lock. Okay.
Well, I put my main 2 hotkeys are like 4 and 5, so that's where my like middle finger and index finger rest, and then my pinky is a little long. So.
Okay, cool. All right, yeah, that should be fine. Just getting a feel for that. Awesome. Okay, cool. How many camera hotkeys? Do you have one for your production and the rest for bases? Sorry, what are you using your camera locations for?
I have bases 1 to 5. I don't use the 5th one as frequently. I've been trying to use it more, but it's just like I said, I only started using camera locations like, I don't know, a year or so ago. So they're still a little weird. Or like,
yeah, I really would encourage you to use my method then. Try to use that 5th one. Try to set it up at the start of every game. Make sure you are also... let's go back to normal speed, by the way, in this game. Just so we can lock it on you. I would really recommend you move that to the newest base that needs SCVs just to make your main arting a lot easier so that you're not having to click on the minimap and scroll around as much. In the later stages, that's usually the exposed base. You need to quickly lift off, fly to the corner or something in a TVT to stop it getting sniped by a big pack of Marines running up there. You know, PvP sometimes as well against Zerg. Sometimes you got to quickly lift it, cancel the planetary because Banelings are about to kill it. You know, all that sort of shit, right? But generally just using an extra camera location would be great. For your production, you're double tapping 5?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're double tapping 5. That's fine. Just wanted to know. Double tapping 5 for production zoom. Okay. All right. We got bam, bam, bam. I was pretty happy with your hotkey usage. It looked pretty good. Yeah.
What do you think of like hotkeying? So a lot of Terrans rally to a depot, and some of those Terrans hotkey that depot.
Oh, that's
like
that's
control group.
That's a nice thing. I put a camera location there. That's usually my rally point. So I just jump to my rally point if I need to raise a depot quickly. So that's my way of doing it.
I've never been a fan of that because I rally push a lot.
Yeah. I mean, if you've got like a control group, like you'd put it on a less important control group, right? You'd put it on like 7 or 8 or something like that. I would imagine. Yeah. What's your 0, by the way? Side mouse button, caps lock, tilde, Q.
Q.
It's Q. Okay.
I've been thinking of changing W to something.
So, Q is kind of like your drop / backstab force usually, right?
Because
in this case, it's like a single lob. If there's mutas in your main, so you're playing against mutas. Your main army's at the front. You want to send 2 medevacs of Marines to your main to clear out the mutas, while your other units go to your 3rd to make sure they don't fly down there. What key to that is 2 medevac of Marines go on?
I'll hit Alt Q. Yeah.
They'll go on Q. Thought so. Okay. Cool. I like that. No, that makes sense. That's your it swaps between. It's like your extra squad. It's like your extra thing. Early game, like this case, it's just a random liberator you're sending across, or a random 8 Marine drop. But it can easily, be a defensive squad that you want to micro around as well. Did you have a dumping key?
That's Q also.
Okay, dumping key is also Q. Yeah. Okay, so that's
Q is like my all-purpose. Like, if I need a control group, here's a control group.
Okay. We're not using 8, 9, and stuff, right? So
not even 7.
Do you use W at all as a Terran player? I don't think W is a big Terran hotkey.
No, I've been trying to figure out what to change it to. I know a lot of people have it as patrol. I just...
You don't use patrol much?
Can't... Like, I only started using Q 3 months ago.
Yep.
And so now I've been trying to figure out if I want to change W to something, but I'm not quite sure what I'd use it for.
I'd use it for an actual dumping key. So, like where you literally just press the button, you don't even need to use a modifier like control or anything. And then it'll just throw those units into oblivion. So they're not on they're on a control group, but you don't even have a button to select that control group.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it basically does it does Alt W, but you don't actually need to press anything. And it's literally just for get this fucking send a few shit things there. Like it's for scrappy situations. Yeah, whether it's defensive scrappy units or offensive. Yeah. Because that just gives you a little bit more freedom with like, I need to fucking split off this shit.
Yeah.
So, do you want to set it up right now? It's pretty easy. We can literally just say, I guess control group 9 we're not using. So let's go hotkeys, global,
control groups.
Control groups. We're going to go to create and take away units 9. So the alt 9. And we're just going to change that to W. So create control group 9 and take away units. We just need to change that one thing to W, and that'll do the work for us. Obviously, we can test it later.
I'm gonna screw that up so much, but yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. Maybe that's like too accessible. Are you using caps lock for something?
No.
So we might want to use caps lock, or maybe caps lock for that. So up to you to experiment, all right? I want you to after we're done, play some customs or fiddle with it, because Q is pretty easy to miss hit. Maybe caps lock is easy for you to miss hit. Oh, sorry, W is a bit easy to miss hit when you're going for Q as well. I don't know how much you're an inaccurate player. We don't want to accidentally be dumping units, right? So we do want to be a little careful with that. Maybe we put it on like G or T or something that's a little more out of the way. Maybe we put it on number 6 or 7. We just hit number 6 or 7 and it steals them, right? Maybe caps lock or, 6 or 7. But I like that idea of just have a dumping key. When you get really scrappy, especially against lurkers, I find I'm often grabbing just a little squad of Marine Marauder and I'm like literally just sending them to attack a base. Because these players, it's a battle of harassing each other on all fronts, right? You both have these really strong siege up frontal forces that you can't really engage into. Becomes a lot like a TVT in this matchup, right? Where you're both sieging up in annoying positions, and then you're actually doing the damage usually through the backstabs and the harassment and the diving into bases where they're not set up, right? And then running away. It's very rarely one of you is just trying to punch through the other's army head on.
Is there a good way to take away the units inside the medevacs?
You have to just remake the control group. So, yeah. So basically, if you load up the medevacs, you would steal the medevacs onto a different control group, but you would also just control one.
And then tap that and then control that? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you just have to control your army again to make sure. Because that's always the worst. You're like, those Marines in the main I unloaded should have killed 30 probes, and they're in like a column running back through the Protoss base to your army, and you're like, oh, I'm a dummy. You're like, did I F2? You're like
3 medevacs worth of Marines streaming from your opponent's main, and you're like, how did this happen? Like,
past the 2 forges that are being chronoed, the Templar archives, and like 50 undefended probes, and you're like, oh no. Oh, the DPS that's lost is insane, man. Yeah, definitely, yeah, trying to be systematic on that. Obviously, in a real chaotic game, sometimes you just miss it. But, because you're so busy. But trying to always do a control 1 and, load them in, steal the medevacs, reselect 1, control 1. Make sure we do that. After loading medevacs, make sure we alt steal the medevacs and reselect 1 and control 1 to, I call it reconfirm or reaffirm the control group. Obviously minus the shit that's in the medevac, right? Stay in the replay and awesome. So I think that's a few mechanical things there for you to kind of start working on. I think the dumping key might help you out a bit. Auto repair, maybe. We'll come back to depots, okay? That's what we want to talk about. But for now, let's just talk strategy. I mean, we don't have to just focus on the mechanics, and this is something where I'm not the most experienced Terran in the world. Neither am I a player who, I mean, Drogo, like a year ago, finally started using rapid fire warpins, was like, holy shit. Maybe it was 2 years ago. I don't know. Sometime in Legacy. It was like, why wasn't I using this before? Like everyone has like these weird holes in their knowledge or their game. So I'm definitely not an encyclopedia on this stuff, but we can kind of like, it's kind of cool that we had this focus to start, so we can try to figure out some shit, maybe give you some cool tips that'll give you a 1% boost in all your matchups, once you're used to it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Weeks from now. It's 1%, it's almost invisible. Hopefully it adds up in the long run. We'll see.
I actually think 1% is huge on the flip side.
In a game of StarCraft, it kind of is, hey. If you can split your shit up a bit better in one of these chaotic situations, sometimes it's like, oh shit, man, that's actually crazy. Like when I started using control group stealing, my ability to like big games where I'm like, I'm dead, and then I'm like, wait, I'll siege 5 liberators simultaneously while queuing a drop here and a drop here, and my army's still organized without those units in the control groups, and I can still do stuff with it. And I was like, oh shit, I can make comebacks happen like with scrappy, dirty harassment now. This is like in such a better way than I used to, where I'd have to individually like shift click out units and like, re-control group them and stuff. So control group stealing definitely changed my play a lot. I guess we should talk about TVZ then, man. Let's go back in this replay and let's talk about this lurker game. This is the new cool meta, man. So this is like fun shit to look at. So you're doing a 3cc bio tank build. You're playing against lurkers. You're gonna figure that out at some stage. What's our like our whole thoughts about bio versus lurker? You know, what's the goals or what are the main themes? What are we aiming for?
So I personally actually think lurkers are kind of bad first bio. Um,
I think
that's simply because
your
like,
style is so good against them, man. I think you're one of the best players against them, actually.
and I also think like a lot of the comes down to like, okay, now if you see hydras, you know, you go two fact tank, you don't really go widow mines anymore, because I used to play a pretty heavy bio mine. Like every single game I'd be going into it like, yeah, let's play bio mine, you know. And it doesn't really work that way anymore, so a lot of games I've been going like two fact tank. But I think like the best thing with lurkers is rushing out a second port with a quick fusion core, because you can actually afford them pretty quickly now.
Yeah.
Because you don't need the third port.
That's actually huge, isn't it?
And with lurkers, it's kind of like, well, you know, like you can't really push with just tanks, but you know, the second you get like 4 or 6 liberators out, I think Zerg's in a lot of trouble.
Because basically, I mean, okay, so obviously they get Vipers. Vipers are great versus libs and tanks. You went Ghosts this game, and you're just kind of playing there. Well, I'm going to push you, and I'm going to look for EMPs on Vipers, right?
Yeah.
That's essentially the game we're playing. We add Ghosts, so, you know, lib
And
tank push.
Snipe is actually
relentlessly.
really good against lurkers too.
Snipe?
Yeah.
It's the same range.
Yeah, but like you've got other stuff there too, and the lurkers just, you know,
They're not hidden.
they all go down to like 10 HP.
Damn. Okay, cool. Everyone was like, Snipe's not going to work anymore. It's the same range as the new lurker with the range upgrade. So that's cool. I haven't actually seen it. I hadn't tried it at all. I love Ghosts. So that's cool.
I think lurkers have less vision than 10 also, so you can snipe from outside the range of the vision.
Very nice. Ghost to counter the Vipers with EMP. Also, snipe lurkers. So that's something I'd love someone to test. Sure, are you still around? Sure, Shardy. Sure, Shardai. Or actually, we got printf in chat. It's cool. I'm not an encyclopedia. I don't know that much about StarCraft, even though I have a good feel for a lot of things and I have a good range of experience. printf is an actual encyclopedia, so he can tell us. Or he'll go test it straight away. Or him and printf. So is that actually true? Can lurkers C9 shoot 10? I think it's right. I would assume what you think is right there. But yeah, what is lurker vision is what we want to find out. Awesome. So they can fact check that for us. I think you're right. Sounds about right. You know, tanks 13 range, 10 vision or 9 vision. Sounds, yeah. Overlords have the longest vision of any Zerg unit. Don't know what it is though. I have no idea what the vision stats are on any unit really.
It's got to be like 12. Well, overseers probably have more now with the mode, right?
Yeah, the pervert mode is probably like something crazy, like 15 or something.
Probably like +4, yeah.
Yeah, it's bloody pervert mode, man. Okay, so you basically, all right. So looking at this game, all right, we're playing against Hydrabane. He went Hydrabane into lurkers.
Yes.
You know,
This is how a lot of Zergs do it.
Yeah.
Upgrade.
I feel like, I guess Broodlords aren't that good anymore. So Raynor was going Banelings as well? I guess he was, wasn't he? Now that I think about it. Oh yeah.
So he didn't one game versus no. He went Ling Hydra into Lurker. But one of the main reasons for this is because you don't actually want Lurkers until you have Hive.
Because they're just not that good without the range. Hey?
Yeah,
Okay.
that and like they're pretty expensive. So
Yeah, I mean the Latin American players are trying to go non-Baneling lurkers every game, like
like Eric.
Eric and Eggs and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, but Eric did that last patch too.
Yeah, I mean he beat Time in that game on World of Sleepers, right? Because he was nidusing like a madman, and Time just was like struggling to just keep up with this endless nidus lurker hitting him from every side. Yeah, okay, that's cool though. So basically, you're just kind of like, okay, we're going to fact tank, and can we go back a few minutes? You're a 5 barracks, 2 factory, 4th CC, then do you go straight into like second starport and fusion core or 5 racks, or do we add more barracks first?
So 4th lands. Okay, usually my idea right now. This might have not been what happened in the game, but it's like you lift up 4th, drop the 5th CC, drop a starport, drop a fusion core.
Sorry, so you lift the 4th to move over.
Yep, and then you drop the 5th, and you go starport fusion core.
5th CC plus starport fusion core. Okay.
With
Cool.
all 8 racks done already, of course, because.
But you're going all 8 racks after the 4th CC or before?
After. It
Okay.
depends who I'm playing, but yeah, after.
4th CC starts. I mean, that's the way you're meant to do it if you're playing a macro game. Otherwise, you're doing the innovation all in that he
Yep.
that he
Don't
beat
take
Cyril
gases
with.
and go.
Yes, and he beat. What map was that he beat Cyril with? It was Disco, right? Was it Disco? I think it might have been Disco. It was a map where basically Cyril just needed to back off. Yeah, Innovation has been using that for years. Like
he did it versus Dark on Repug. I remember that.
Yeah, and he's a guy who will be like, oh no, I'm going like 7 reactors on my barracks. Like, you know, we're not gonna have any Marauder or Ghost production if I don't win, I am so fucked if Ultralisks hit the field. Like, I am actually just so screwed because I'm on pure Marine production.
Uthermal also does it a lot.
Oh god, man. And it's so scary. The number of times I've seen, it's like, I'm like, oh no, Raynor has 45 Banelings. He can't die. You see 100 Marines stim in and focus them all down. I'm like, on creep. And I'm like, the fuck just happened? Like, that's not meant to happen. I'm like, oh my god. Like, the balls on Terran players these days. This is the thing. I have so much respect for the ability to gauge that situation.
Dude,
okay.
A lot of it's like you scan the Zerg army and you're like, well, here we go.
I hope there's not another 30 Banelings morphing.
Right? Yeah.
Damn, man. Terran players, big balls. I love it. Terran's such a cutting edge, micro, kind of aggressive, ballsy maneuver race. So yeah, I mean, basically, you're playing this pretty steady. You weren't committing too hard with a push early on, right? Like, wait, let's go back to when you killed the 4th base on the right, because I think that was the 4th, right? That one. Where are Zerg's taking their 4th? No, he takes it on the left. Okay, is that the normal 4th?
I think this was his first time playing this map. That's not the right 4th. You take, oops.
I was about to say I'm learning something. If that's the normal 4th.
And then you take this, and then you take this, then you take this.
Yeah, that's like your 7th or 8th base. Okay, yeah. You take, because you get rich gas, but it's also, you've got pretty big wide open areas. Like, even though there's a nice ledge in front of it, right? You can siege up there. That's like a good little ledge, but it's not really that close to the hatch. So
the big thing about Zerg like expanding, in my opinion, is I'm expanding here with my 4th. He's taking here with his 4th. That's really bad. It's just like so short.
Yeah, that's pretty terrible. Did you know about it at this point? Yeah, you did. So you're just like, all right. I was about to push down the right because that's what I would normally do. Good secondary wall off on the natural. Absolute crime if a Terran player doesn't do that. Actually, you didn't finish the wall off. I hope you had another. You fucked that wall up. I hope you noticed that.
He kills it later, and I'm like, how did I do this in the first place? Turns out I just didn't.
Oh my god, that's so funny. The welcome Zerglings. A gap in the wall there. Yeah, and then you just spread out your tanks. He didn't have Vipers, did he? Has he got a hive? He's got a hive.
He has a hive. His Vipers are a little late. He was trying to go Lurkers first. It's not as good. I personally think Ultras are just better.
Yeah, I was about to say, don't you just think Ultras are a bit of a better unit? Yeah, because I mean, I like the Lurker rush style because it can create some problems with, like, you know, Lurker harass and stuff. Like, you hit 2 sides with Lurkers, but the Terran has so much mobility with Bio, and I feel like Lurkers, it's very hard for them to defend every angle. I mean, his creep ended up so far back, so you had a lot of momentum in this game. Let's go to a different map, different game. Let's go check out a different replay. You're just stomping him a little bit there, so.
Do you want TVZ still?
Whatever goes. If we can find a chaotic match where your macro sucks, that's great. If we can find you losing, that's also great. Because one of the things we can
channel to meet you in. If I go to a different account.
Yeah. Just go to channel Piggy, Pigggy. Oh, actually, sorry. There's other people in there. You probably want to keep your account secret. So we're gonna go to
No,
channel.
it's pretty well known.
Okay, cool. Well, you can just shoot me an invite when you come in there.
Okay, this game, a lot happened. I don't know if it's like the best macro game, but it's really scrappy.
All right.
At least it was when I was playing it. Maybe it's not. Doesn't look that bad.
Wow. This is on EU?
NA.
NA. Tact Chang. Who the fuck is that? Oh, wait, that's you.
Uthermal.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I do occasionally play uthermal late at night as well, and I'm like, who the fuck has that much MMR? It's Terran on NA. I'm always like, who is this? And then I realize it's him. I'm like, what's your MMR on EU, by the way? Like 6.2? 6.1?
I haven't hit 6.2, but I've got like 4 accounts at like 6190.
Okay. Cool.
So
What's that put you, like, rank 35?
roughly.
Yeah? Okay. All right. Cool.
I went way too fast. Want to go back?
You know what? Let's hop out, actually. Let's rehost this. I'd like to control it if possible.
Okay.
I'll hop in the driver's seat. Because I will be very patiently and slowly going over things. Just make me that lobby host. Chat saying they get supply blocks every 8 seconds. Every 8 supply. It's a very impressive chat. Well done. You're not the only ones. All right. So, say what?
That's me too. Some games.
Some games.
It's so sad. You're like, huh, 20 seconds later and again.
So you're doing the, wait, this was a gas first. Okay, gas first, no SCV scout. Cool. There is a jump in point on this map, of course. All right. You doing a reactor Hellion or?
No, because I didn't scout him.
If he proxy Reapers, you tend to
I
lose with
lose.
this build, right?
I lose.
I'm like, it's like if they mess up their micro, there's a small chance, right? Like because your Hellion can get out quick enough. No.
I'm gonna be honest. No.
No. I'm like, they need to fuck up their micro way too hard, right? You need to be playing like a 5.5k player or something. Yeah.
Maybe lower.
All right. So the bunker is interesting. That's a cool little maneuver. Let's take a look at this.
I should have put it one more over so my Reaper could go through the path there because he actually it screwed up a lot by me walling it. See, my Reaper had to go around, and then the CV dies for sure.
Right.
But if you go 2 Reaper and you make a bunker like this and you win this Reaper fight instead of lose it, it goes pretty well.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, does it really make sense with a single Reaper to do that there, though?
It's annoying, it's scary, but no.
Yeah. Because I think against someone of Uthermal's level, like, it just doesn't
make
as much sense. If you don't have a reinforce there, it's like, use the SCV to kill the SCV, but there's no way that bunker's getting up. Like, you were lucky to even get the second SCV, but the bunker... I mean, that was kind of because there was a pause there, I think. I don't think the second SCV... It does
force him to micro his Reaper, though. That is one thing.
Yeah.
Because otherwise he can just stutter with it properly, and he doesn't have to click my Reaper. But with the bunker there, if he auto attacks, it'll attack the bunker instead.
Okay, standard 3 gas opening. You're gonna go straight for the tech lab on the factory. No cyclone. Okay.
Greedy.
All right.
I played
Hellion
really
backstab
greedy.
is very nice though. I love a well-timed Reaper or Hellion backstab. Can you wait for 30 seconds? Oh my god. The fuck? Dude, he's crazy. So, I mean, you say tank's greedy. But is it like to make your follow-up push a bit stronger? Like with a few tanks? Okay.
Yeah, because having 2 tanks is just so much better than 1.
Yeah.
And if I want to hit like a 2 tank timing, like
Cyclone
If you
doesn't
go
do
Cyclone
anything.
first, you usually doesn't have the second tank with the Raven and stuff. So I like it, but it's greedy. Like stuff like
Yeah,
this happens,
Cyclone
or a
would
Liv,
have
or
cucked
a
this.
Raven, you know.
Yeah. Oof. Let him back in the game.
So I don't know if this counts as really scrappy, but we both lost a lot of workers for sure.
Well,
But
you're
now-
about to get supply blocked, so
Yep.
you do remember a depot as the action calms down. I mean, that's like the most justifiable supply block, though. That's one of those ones where you're like, eh.
I also have used the supply cooldown though, so it's like,
Oh, you use that as well.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at when you use that. The fuck?
it's third depot, I think. I think I forgot third depot.
Oh, dude, what the hell, man?
See, I'm bad.
Aha! This is good. This is good. We're finally seeing what you said. You claimed you had these errors in your play. I haven't seen them yet. This is the first time. Yeah. So I mean, you tried to do the Reaper thing. Your Hellions diving in. That's what's your trigger normally for that? Is it supply? I mean, I always link up my depots to buildings, right? So for me, it's like
I usually
my
start at the starport. Yeah.
yeah. The starport SCV is normally that depot builder with every 1-1-1 build, right? Because that's what I do. I just rally the starport SCV to build it every game.
I usually make it on 37. I know that, and usually it's after the starport starts. I think you can make it after the first starport unit starts, but it cuts it close sometimes.
It should, if your starport's not delayed, you will never hit a supply block. If you start a depot there, I think you'll be fine. I guess if you're building a tank and then another tank immediately, maybe no. But I think usually you have
Cyclone, it's
if you have a small gap in production on your factory, which you normally would have anyway. If you're building that depot, you wouldn't have had the money to build the tank immediately. I feel like that should definitely be it. I mean, 37 supply. It's just I feel like looking at supply is like the worst thing when a game gets chaotic, right?
Yeah.
So maybe not talking about this idea of a depot builder, because like you said, you constantly build depots. When you're constantly building depots, maybe I think you should just leave the same guys building depots rather than go back. But I mean, how do you do that? You're like, I'm at the stage, we're just macroing, no one's losing units. I just need to constantly build one depot at a time, or then later 2 depots from like 85 supply or whatever, right? When your 2 base production's up. Do you just try to, is there, it might be subconscious, you might not be able to describe this, but is it like you queue up units, you drop mules, you build SCVs, you just go and grab 2 SCVs, build 2 more depots, queue them back to minerals? Like, how do you remember? Is there some sort of anchoring thing that reminds you to build depots in a calm situation?
So recently, okay, so most builds I have it pre-flushed out, and the third depot the third depot SCV builds depots like 3 to 6, I think.
Okay.
And then there you go 2 on. So usually, if I don't forget the first depot, then I put down the next one. But I have it happen a lot where if I've been trying to break this habit of shift clicking my depot SCVs back to minerals, because you did talk about that, and that is something I've had other people mention to me also. And it's just, I like shift click it back, and then I don't remember to set the next depot and stuff. And
Okay. Well, I mean, as long as you've already been kind of thinking about it a little bit, all we need to do is knuckle down a little bit on that, and you'll get it down in no time, right? So I think if we just keep breaking that habit, and that's really important to kind of just set aside winning just a little bit in your games and try to reframe it a little bit more as like, for a day, it's make sure every game you don't queue those back and don't care about win or lose, care about that more than anything. If you do that, you sacrifice a day of training, but you won't really sacrifice the day of training. Even if you lose some games because you're focusing on that, like, it'll force the habit to be deep in your brain. But the problem is, if you are at any point saying, oh, nah, I'll just let it happen this way, and you don't immediately correct it, what you're going to do is you're going to reinforce like the path in your brain that says this is how I do it, and it's going to become not automatic. So it's going to require conscious thought. Because every single time you do it the old way, where you queue guys back, even if the next time you then leave them building it, but then the next time you queue it back, like, it's just never going to become automatic, and it's going to feel like it requires so much conscious thought and effort to like break out of that habit. Does that make sense?
So, sorry, what was the suggestion again? Hey, that does make sense.
Deprioritize everything else until this is habit.
I
And
see.
you will learn it so fast, right? We'll learn it so fast. So easiest way, I want you to spend 5 minutes, 5 minutes a day practicing queuing deepos. It sounds friggin' stupid. It'll take you like, do it for 5 minutes after we're done today. And then do it for tomorrow and it'll be automatic, right? Basically just be like, I'm doing a build order with conscious focus in a build order of making sure we don't queue back. And we focus on that mechanic. Spend 1 minute visualizing a stressful in-game situation. Also sounds stupid, but trust me, it works. And you throwing down depots in the middle of a macro cycle. So you know, jump home from like some harassment, blah, blah, blah. Visualize a specific scenario you're familiar with. Like you're doing your first medevac drop against a Protoss and you're borrowing Widow Mines in his mineral line, right? Visualize that. You bounce home, you add your second and third barracks or whatever it is you do. Bam, bam. You queue up SCVs, you build depots, you don't queue back. And really focus on that not queuing back. You do this, and within 1 day, this will be an automatic habit. If you can really just spend that minute visualizing it, focus on it, and then in your ladder games, if you catch yourself shift-clicking back, fix it. Take a deep breath. Stop focusing on the rest of your multitasking. Go back, fix it. Cancel the command. Resume your build. Just take like a second and be like, no, I'm doing this new thing. So basically what you're doing is you're fucking up the rest of your play because you're doing this weird, awkward, obsessive focus on the new mechanic. But because you do it that way, you're going to get a very clear new frame in your brain, a new like pathway where you say, I need to build depots, I do it this way. And it's going to become automatic like way quicker. So that's what you want to do with any new mechanic you learn. Otherwise, what you're going to do is you are going to unlearn it every time you get into a high intensity situation, your blood starts pumping and you go back to the thing you've done 1,000 times before. And every time you do that, it basically counteracts the calm bits where you're doing it properly. So really make sure we're visualizing the stressful situations, but then if we break it and use the old habit, queuing back, take a moment, cancel that order, focus on what we should do, and put that at the front, basically, of your mind. Ahead of winning the game. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Cool. I think you'll get it down so quickly. You've just got to make sure you focus on it, right? It's kind of like I'm trying to use my 5th camera location, but if you don't have that as a priority in your practice, it could be 6 months before you get it down as like a real habit. If you spend 1 day, 2 days of focused practice with it, a little bit of visualization, you'll get it really, really quickly. Awesome. A little trick as well is when you're falling asleep at night, you can run through that in your head, like just a little bit of visualization there. It makes a really big difference for creating those neural pathways. Helps you learn a lot. Because then you're also in a mindset where your brain will rehearse it while you're sleeping. Your brain actually, it basically replays things at a very quick speed, and it kind of does repetitions while you're sleeping. It's why sometimes you wake up and the next day you can do a build perfectly, which you kept fucking up the day before. Basically, if you're actually focused on that thing, your brain will automatically rehearse it. What were we talking about? We were talking about TVT. We're talking about depots. We're talking about when to build them. We're talking about how to break that little system there. But also I was talking about supply counts, okay? So this is the other thing we should talk about a little bit, right? Supply counts are nice, but they are the first thing that goes to shit, right? In a messy game. So I'm sure you're not purely reliant on supply counts, but like, you know how we were talking about that 3rd depot and I was saying, well, I always rally the starport SCV to go build that because that's like unforgettable, right? It just becomes part of the build. It's like rallying your barracks SCV to build your command center. You will never forget that, right? But if you get like proxy marauded, suddenly your command center goes down at a different time. And if you're like, well, command center has to go down on 20 supply or 19 supply, it's obviously not going to work. That's a silly example, obviously. But like, for instance, you know, like your supply depot, if there's a bit more action than normal or something, you can very easily forget these things if we're focused on supply, because it might actually change where it logically makes sense to go. So, I mean, do you feel like you're doing a mix of supply counts and triggers, or are you constantly glancing to the top right at your supply count and kind of using that as a big marker in your game?
Usually, so for a lot of cases, there are triggers that do it. Like, for example, TVZ, like my first two Hellions, after I start them, I know to make my next depot.
Yeah.
But for example, like my third depot in other matchups than TVZ, like TVZ, I've definitely practiced my openers quite a bit. But TVT, I haven't rehearsed my macro nearly as much, and I think that's kind of why it's not exactly a great matchup for me.
Right.
And
Try to visualize them like in TVZ, like that. Like I was talking about that 60 supply depot kind of thing. Like obviously, it's like, well, I guess you're just constantly building depots from a certain point, right? So you don't need to really remember that. What about
yeah,
what about like extra barracks and stuff? Game gets weird and fucking scrappy. The Ling Run by gets in and kills 5 SCVs, so everything's a bit delayed. Do we just follow an order? Like, do we just go, well, next thing is third CC, then double
yeah, that's more
eBay?
of what I do.
Yeah, like obviously we're not going like, well, I need to wait to 70 supply to build my double eBay.
Yeah.
We just basically stick to the general order of the next steps. We're like, I don't have.
It's kind of like when I have money, do X.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. When I have money, do X. Okay, just checking, because I thought you would do it that way. I assume that's how most Terran players think, because that's how I think. Just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. Awesome. So yeah, generally just kind of shifting those priorities is going to be good. In this case, we forgot the depot because we're just not as practiced with the build. We're getting a bit carried away with throwing down bunkers and microing Hellions around.
Yeah, and
we
I
just
forgot my
needed to-
starport, so that didn't help.
Yeah, it was a little bit later than it could have been. Okay, cool. So you're trying to go do this lovely little push over here, and this is such a nice push, man. Holy shit. He's got nothing. I mean, he got dicked by that Hellion, right? So, even though
he played really greedy.
yeah. He's also got way too many depots.
Yeah.
Uthermal's like a very scrappy player. I identify him as being kind of similar to how you play in some ways. Where he's
I
like
agree.
very chaotic, right? Little almost disorganized would be the negative way to say it, but thrives in chaos. And you know, it's very much like Maru. Like you look at Innovation's base layout, it's always exactly the same, and Maru's buildings are always in this haphazard random placement because he's microing shit in your face the whole game, and he's like so tactically reactive with everything he's doing that he just bounces home for a millisecond and just throws shit down anywhere. Whereas Innovation is like, this must go down from this exact SCV that finishes that other building. And, you know, I must never interrupt my perfectly doubled up workers, and I must pull every mule off before the last trip so I don't waste 25 minerals from the mineral patch. It's a different way of focusing on the game, and they're both valid. Okay, cool. So this was a little chaotic, but definitely we were in control of it. You're still going 3 Raven. What's that's weird.
That was a mistake.
Good.
It was a mistake. But also, like, I think it works in this game because he has like his air so delayed.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think it's just better to have Vikings in general, though, right? With
Yeah.
the new interference matrix, like 3 Raven was always, you're like, I guess interference matrix is just so good, and it made sense. But yeah, I think now it just doesn't make sense on the new patch. Seems to be the consensus. We were rally pushing again, weren't we? Oh, we love our rally push. Awesome. I mean, it punishes us here a little bit, but it also strengthens our push, which was our big goal. That's fine. You know, it's risk reward.
Yeah, but I knew he had a medevac. I just thought he'd leave it at home.
What do you think was the right call, then? Do you think you should have left something?
Leave the back tank, maybe?
One more auto turret.
Like, it's not really important. There's
Yeah.
one tank at the front. Yeah.
I don't think you should leave anything, right? I think you should just change the rally point, if anything, right? And then, like, you're still grabbing units periodically, but it's like the rally is there. Well, that's what I would think of it as if I wanted to leave something for a small drop. I don't know.
I mean, if he has one medevac, I can leave a tank unsieged and just like, you know, because I do like having my rally take care of things, but if things fly in right as you move out, and I have to say that's more or less what always happens.
Yeah,
It's really annoying.
that's true. That's true.
'Cause, like, Estrella, when he like zealot run bys, he'll leave like a zealot outside your base, or he has his obs, and the second you move
Yeah.
out, like Prism flies in, zealots run into your third.
Well, that's
Zealots in your
actually
natural.
that's
Kinda
actually
like,
something
huh.
I've been super annoyed at Terran players for. I'm like, come on, guys, like, he's always got an Oracle and Observer. They always know when you move out. unless you've been really good with a Raven against a Robo, like a Twilight. If you play against Blink, you've got a Raven. Maybe sometimes you can have cleared the area before you move out. But like, if you're going to do that and literally be rallied across the map or to the front, leave nothing at home, like that, the number of games Terran players are losing to that against Protoss, I'm like, guys, like, leave. If you have a Viking, I can accept it. If you've got a Viking patrolling or even hunting the Prism a little bit, that's fine. But otherwise, it's just so silly how many games I think are lost to this, right? And I get it. Like, we're all in that mindset of we've got to stop him before he gets his second Colossus or his Psystorm or he gets his 1-1 or his 2-2, right? We're always so timing oriented as Terran players. But yeah, I think we should kind of focus on that. So yeah, I mean, against Protoss, what do you reckon you leave? If you know there's a Prism out there, which we can always assume. I mean, I'm a big fan of squeezing a Viking into the build specifically to get rid of that fucker. But do you just leave a little pack of Marines and Marauders or what?
Versus Protoss, if there's a Prism there, you just bring the SCVs, I think. With your push. You just give up. Like, that might sound like really bad to say, but like leaving 5 Marines or something at home is...
Well, it's not enough. It's not enough.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
So then the alternative is leave like 10, or if you make a Viking, then you can't really push because you don't have your second medevac. And there's just so much, like so many reasons that it just doesn't work.
If it's later on, you've got to have the Viking or the 10 Marines, though, for sure. But if we're looking at like real early 2-base push timing, then yeah, I totally agree with you. Just pull the
okay, because that's the only time I really can like worry about it.
Okay.
Because
I see a lot of players on 3-base,
Marines, or I can make turrets, or like.
Yeah, I see a lot of players get fucked on 3-base still, like special and stuff. When you're playing like Stats and Classic and all these guys who we're not going to see much of next year because they're all going to military, Prism would always come in just after everything moves out and would like warp in 8 Zealots after dropping 4, and you'd see 30 SCVs go down in a game which looked reasonably even on the macro front up to that point. And I think, honestly, with the new, more accessible Liberators and the EMP radius, I think we should be a little more comfortable playing macro games as Terran players. Like, if we're going to 3-base, we shouldn't be that crazy.
So Parting does this thing where if he scouts you have a 3rd, he just drops a 4th and a 5th. And it's really sad because you can't really punish it.
Open the stream. This fucking guy. Oh, you saw it?
Why special in Clan Maples? Is that real special?
Of course. I don't know why he's in Maple's clan. 100% it's him. Special is always hanging out in my... Type in chat. Is it actually him? He's always in my chat.
I don't see him.
He says the maps are great. It's like butt
fake
cancer,
special,
he's
for
going to
sure.
say.
Like, there's just no way.
There's no way, right? He says they nerfed Zerg 3%. And buffed them 10% with the maps.
It's special? Nice.
Okay, maybe it is special. Yeah, I would say it's special. Special's great. All right, let's hop out of that.
He's fun.
Let's load up another one, hey. I love that he's always there when you shit talk him. He gets summoned. When do you know which to use for Ravens between turrets and Matrix, says Captain Undead? I mean, it's situational, right? Captain Undead, if you're running into a tank line and you can interference matrix the tanks, you interference matrix them always. That's it. If there's a power unit, you do it. If it's generally you just need some buffer, some hit points, some damage output, you go for the auto turret, right? So, I mean, if there's like a few tanks and you've got nothing else going and be like, oh, there's 2 tanks on their own, you're going to drop auto turrets, right? Because you've got nothing to do damage. But otherwise, in an actual direct engagement, you would almost always interference matrix if you're attacking into them, right?
If there's no Marines, you can put auto turrets.
Yeah.
Like versus tanks, because the Marines are the ones that kill the auto turrets. Or like if the tanks are all sieged, and you have more auto turrets than tanks, you can just put auto turrets.
Yeah.
But yeah, what you said is pretty much the like go-to.
That's what. Thank you, Oxymoron, for the 6 months. Appreciate the sub, mate. What matchup shall we watch?
What type of game do you want?
Anything, any loss, any recent loss.
Any loss?
Even if it's a loss where you think, oh, it's just a dumb cheese or something, I want to fucking hear you dismiss the loss and then lay into you and be like, no, you need to be
Do I
more
lose?
systematic. And I can be like a annoying coach that forces you to watch dumb losses and absorb them a little bit more. Special live right now? I think he is. He's been streaming quite a bit.
Oh, this was a dumb loss. Oops.
Ooh.
Nope, wrong game. 1 sec. I think it's this one. This is uthermal. He has dumb builds.
Oh, he is
His builds
live.
are good.
Legendary.
Did you want to be the lead?
That's all right.
Oops.
You can walk us through. Walk us through it, buddy. Show us the TVT versus Uthermal. You know, Uthermal's so funny as well because he's such a confident player.
Yeah.
I asked him about TVT and he's like, oh, I was like, yeah, what's your plan with this build? Like this mech build he was doing versus someone. He's like, oh, I don't know. I've never made it past that point. I always win TVT with my first push every game on ladder. I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, Mark. Not going to give anything away. But yeah, he's crazy confident in this matchup. Yeah, Hero Marine's always like, I'm very stressed out when I play Uthermal in TVT. It's very difficult to win. I cannot commentate. But yeah, all right. So what do we got? All right. So you've gone for the reactor Hellion this time around. Oh my god, and he's doing a YOLO. Holy shit.
So, I die.
Yeah, you do.
Yep.
Ooh.
Welcome to dumb loss number 1. This build's really good though. Like I lose to this build quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, you are both kind of doing similar openings. Obviously, I would argue, why are we not blocking the right-hand side with a depot?
I've thought about doing it, and I'm always scared that they're gonna kill the depot
Just get a free depot if they've got a little edge
because
there,
there's
yeah.
also a tank drop build. And I can show you that replay too, but he did that to me last time. On
Like
this one.
over
Like the game before
here
this.
in the back base, or
No. The tank from the low ground here can hit the CC.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, very nice. Okay.
So if they bring a second tank, you know, it's kind of just over.
Damn. Okay, but let's go back to that push and when it hits. Let's go break this down. So I mean, what should you have done better this game? Is this a build order counter?
I think if I just put my Hellions here, I'm fine.
Okay. But
Like,
how
just
would?
put 'em closer
But
to the
then he
ground.
just runs in the left, right?
That's fine though, because I can get the SCVs up to the high ground.
Okay, yeah. You can pull the SCVs, take a volley or two maybe, but you have time to run up to the high
Yeah, and I
ground,
can
position
react, and I
units.
can micro properly. Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
like here, he just caught me by surprise.
by default, your units should always be closer to the ramp.
I thought you'd have to funnel through the choke more, but I think
Yeah,
my,
well,
like,
his
2
units-
Hellions on the left.
Go
just
back
weren't
and
far
watch that.
close.
Slow that down, man. You got to rewatch these fights. This is so important to understand the new map, right? Because your Hellions on the left are way too far to the left. Yeah, I mean, if that volley got off, you would have killed all the Reapers instantly, right? If
Yeah.
those top left 2 Hellions were where they should have been. Yeah.
Well,
and
even if I clicked on the first Hellion coming up, I would have been fine. Because everything would have died in one shot.
yeah, and then, I mean, we try to get the splash, but I think there we should have just evacuated, but then we lose all the SCVs no matter what. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty fucked at that point. Okay. By the way, why is your starport so late that he has got a Liberator in your mineral line and your Liberator's just popping?
He went starport before CC.
Okay, doesn't that mean you're just always going to take massive damage to this lib with your build
No, I can go Viking.
instead of Liberator? Okay. How do you know though? Or are you just gonna? Or do you have to go Viking every game, right?
So if you sneak an SCV back in and you see no CC by 220, you know it's starport. And the alternative is you can send a Reaper around like this, but he scares me too much for me to send my Reaper out.
Let's go back to your scouting. Go back to 2 minutes. All right.
So sometimes I leave an SCV like here or like here, and then you can send it back in.
Yeah.
It dies a lot, but you know, like if you see the CC, you know you're fine.
Why would you hide it there? Why not on the
Alternative?
edge? Is everyone actually really on top of checking the edges? I
Yeah,
feel like
everyone checks everywhere.
yeah, even like down
Yeah.
here.
I mean down here's probably fine.
Because I think that's the perfect spot. I don't think I've
People
ever
check
seen
like
anyone
here.
check. Yeah, they'll
They
check behind the
here
third.
and here. Yeah.
Yeah, I would hide down at the fourth, I think, down in the bottom, right? Or, I mean, obviously, different spots, but yeah. Either way, okay, so you can go in there and double check, because you know it's a double gas. I'm pretty sure we saw the second gas, right? Oh, we saw the factory. That tells us all we need to know. So we saw the fast factory. So we knew this was a kind of one basey opening, but we weren't sure if he was going to pull off gas a bit faster, get the command center down or not. Okay.
Yep.
And in general, if we know there's no command center down, we always have to go Viking first. And if we don't know, I mean, we already know that we've gone a fast expand. He hasn't. I mean, we should always be defensively minded here, right? So we should absolutely be going straight for. I mean, the other thing you can do is you could have had a couple Marines and a bunker down. It is a possibility if you want to still get the Liberator first, right? And then you can go Cyclone, but then it's
So
weird. I mean, I think it's just
first.
yeah.
There's nothing you can cut to make a bunker without being farther behind in other areas.
Yeah. Yeah, gas first is awkward
if
like
you
that.
go Rex gas, you die to 2 Rex every time. But you can get a bunker and marine reliably. But there's 2 entrances, so it's just not, you know.
Wait, surely with an SCV scout you can survive with barracks gas, right? Against Proxy Reaper.
Not on this map, I think. He can jump
Ooh,
here,
there's a lot
here,
of
here.
jumping areas. Holy fuck, yeah. What's it? Man, I don't know if there's a single ledge you can. Okay, you can zone out the one between the minerals on the left. You can zone that with a single
can put
depot,
a bunker
right?
and a depot there.
One depot doesn't cut it. I'm not sure about that. Homework team, Jamie. Jamie, can you look this up for me? Who can be bothered checking? This is uthermal versus Cuddlebear, guys. We got a bunch of GMs in chat. What's up? It doesn't cut it. What about a 3x3? Can we a single bunker? Does that cut it? Arnak saying it's not wallable. Like you just can't wall that unless you get like 2 structures, same as you bunker depot, which is fucking awkward. Yeah. What about the right hand side? That feels like you'd need maybe. Can you do that with a 3x3 and a depot? Maybe. Oh my god, it's fucking awkward. Yeah, this is a really good Reaper map. Holy shit.
So most people go 2 gas here, which is fine.
Yeah. Okay.
2 gas if you go Reaper, Hellion, or Reaper, Cyclone is pretty good against this build. Like, he still has enough stuff to kill everything, but, you know, at least you don't die.
What did you say? Reaper, Hellion?
Reaper, Cyclone. Like, you go 2 gas and you go...
Off a 1 base?
Yeah.
Right. But like you go down to 2 dudes on each gas, or 2 on one on the other.
Yep.
To get the 220 CC, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. Double Cyclone. Cool. Okay. All right. Actually, Atasia was doing that opening against Clem this morning.
Yeah, it's pretty good. There's some stuff you die to with it, but it's not bad.
There was actually a really cool game. You didn't watch any of the Waddy tournament this morning? Or this?
I watched
today?
yesterday, not this morning, though.
It's freaking crazy. Like, Clem on this map just like was like, Liberator here, drops here. He just like kept attacking. Atasia was like on point defensively, and I was like, okay, Clem, you need to stop attacking. Clem was like macroing so well behind it, even though he was like so inefficient because Tasia's defense was on point. He just kept attacking. I don't know who ended up winning, but I was just like, wow. There's a good. I would expect an old man like Tasia to fall apart and just lose 20 SCVs at one point, but he was really keeping his cool. Okay, so I guess we know how to position our Hellions a little bit better for this map. That's huge. That would make a big difference. That Hellion dive, not very good.
No, it was me being like, I'm dead.
Yeah, start making dumb decisions because we're dead. What's your comeback in TVT? This is something I see so many TVT players. I feel like they don't have a comeback gamble. And I think
the comeback is just defend better than they attack. Like that's honestly I think the best way to go about it. And it's really tough because then they take a 4th and then you're like, well, how do I take a 4th?
Yeah, I mean,
Because if you're ahead, you just start cutting like random corners and
yeah,
expanding as much as you can, and
well,
it
that's
just
why I feel just
feels.
sitting in that corner. I think it's a shit way to play. Is just trying to play better defensively. I think there's smarter ways to do this. I think too many of us get stuck in this mindset. I think we need to take a bigger gamble to take it from a 10% to a 20%. You know, like it's still going to be a bad position. But what do you think about just giving up the air?
Like not making medevacs.
No Vikings.
How do I hold this?
Yeah, I mean, let's
You
let's
see what
say.
I mean, though?
I mean, the thing is, you're not going to hold it anyway, right?
No, no, no. I die anyway.
Well, that's the thing. Is to say, how are we going to hold it?
Well, okay. But the alternative is don't drop a third CC and drop 4 barracks.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so obviously we're in a pretty bad position, but like let's go back and let's play through some scenarios of comebacks, right? So a few things that pop into my head. Faster, you know, so gambles that can stop it just being a mirror where we're behind, right? You know, where we are too far behind, okay? So one of them is to go you know, faster into heavy marines and medevacs with drops and you know, mobility, right? Which that sort of tank raven push, if you're threatening with marines on their side of the map or drops, they can't really get across the map as early. Now obviously this is a really shitty scenario, this game, but like there are builds which we very rarely see where you can go 3 racks before 3rd CC and actually get a decent little marine count out and basically just skimp on the starport production in general. Sometimes even delay your starport. Obviously, it depends on, or delay, use it as a deeper a reactor builder for your barracks, right? Cut starport production and then go into delayed medevacs. Because if you can get out stim +1 shields, marines, right? Ravens, Vikings, and unsieged tanks are really bad versus that. Like, you can threaten to some extent. Now, it's a big delay on stim. There's a big delay on that production. I don't know if we can necessarily get there, but that's one idea I'm toying with as a sort of comeback mechanic, right? What do you think?
So quit starport production, drop barracks, and go, basically.
Yeah, basically, we want to counter them by through mobility, right? So maybe something like a faster second and third racks before 3rd CC, basically using the threat of drops, but also stimming onto their army with a far superior marine count to force them to stay defensive / siege up constantly as they're trying to push. How the timings actually work out for something like this, I don't know, right? But what you're going to do is you're going to force a different numbers game. Then you have 1 more Raven and 3 more Vikings than me, so my Raven and Viking kind of almost does nothing in that scenario, right? Whenever you've got the same 2 armies and you just have like 20% less, it scales terribly against you, right? Unless you really catch them off guard somehow. But if you go, say you've got, like, if we go to when that push is coming, the idea is probably going to be if we could somehow have 20 Marines with stim and shields with 2 medevacs. It's very threatening because we can run forward and just pick off the tanks or force out the auto turrets and pick off a few Vikings and then disengage, that sort of thing. What are we thinking?
I'm trying to think more this map in particular because every map is going to be different, I think. So I'm just like my 3rd CC is starting now. So this is me playing a game from being down 6 SCVs. And my like Hellion lib stuff got it to me being down like 2 or 3. So after everything, you know, like I'm not super behind economically anymore, but his tech lead is pretty far ahead, I guess.
So we would have had to scrap the Vikings entirely to make that sort of transition work, right? We would have, from the very first run by, said, you know what, I'm going to shift gears into this kind of crazy style where I'm going to get like a second barracks going to start those upgrades and an engineering bay, or a second and third barracks and an engineering bay, and you'd be investing in the faster stim instead of the Ravens, right? So that's like kind of how, because you'd have to already be on that path. There's no way you could go into it here and have Marines and their upgrades ready in time in decent enough numbers, right? But from, say, when that first Hellion attack hit you, we could maybe shift gears into that sort of style. And this is all theory crafting. You know, we don't have to say, we're not gonna. There's no way we can know how well this works and doesn't work until we've actually, you know, toyed with it, right? But like toying with it mentally now, I think is just a good idea. So, yeah, what are we thinking?
Okay, so I have done stuff like this before, and it usually doesn't work out super well. Like when I play someone, you know, Mark's obviously, I think, for sure better than me. When I play people that are worse than me and I do that stuff, it makes the game seem losable still, or it makes it really weird, which, you know, that's probably the best way to get out of, you know, a hole you dug.
Yeah.
But like, I still think for sure, like, going Viking Raven is like the most consistent way to, you know, come back in a game. Like, I've seen people
use the
win
defender's
games down
advantage.
60 supply. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is possible, right? Okay, so let's go take a look at when he pushes you then. What can we do differently there? Because there is definitely a lot you can do with those engagements that changes things, right? And sometimes even little things like a forward bunker to buy time makes a massive difference, right? Like, if we had a bunker here with a few Marines, it could buy us a bit of time. So let's go back and watch this engage. Like, I feel like forward bunkers, when I'm playing this defensive, let's just defend with tanks, Vikings, Ravens, focus on those ahead of everything else, right? As long as I non-stop build Vikings and tanks. That's the important thing here as well. When you're playing this, you know your extra barracks and your stim are so delayed, they're not going to come into it, right? So it's like you have to make 100% sure you don't fall into the temptation. Like what you're doing here. You've cut Viking production and tank production to power up into fourth and fifth barracks in your main. Even if this push wasn't coming in right now, that, like, fundamentally I think is a wrong decision, because you need non-stop uninterrupted tank and Viking production, right? Any extra barracks isn't going to help you until a bit later in the game. Like, it's all about the tank and Viking count if you're focusing on this.
So do you think I just don't start 1-1 here? Because, like, I was bottlenecked by gas more than minerals.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe we don't start the armor upgrade. Maybe we just go +1 attack, right? Because sometimes we think of that as like, oh, I've just got to go 1-1 now. But it's like, realistically, that's only if we get in a Marine fight. But like, our game plan will be to slowly push out to a fourth. And this map's fucking rough for getting a fourth. If they've got a lot more Marines than us, all right? But I mean, yeah, maybe we should delay the armor upgrade. Like, basically, we should prioritize that.
I mean, even if I get up to 3 base, I can just drop Breck 6, 7, 8 and just try it all in off 3 base.
Yeah. So
because there are a lot of like crazy things like that where it's like, okay, if your opponent tries to go starports and you have 8 racks production, you know, Vikings don't help versus 120 Marines.
Exactly. That's always the thing. If you lose air control, right? You know, invest even heavier into Marines and medevacs, and if you can ever engage them, yeah, where the Vikings, you know, are just not that useful. So we'd basically come up with a general rule there. When we're behind and we're trying to come back in this sort of game, we'd build forward bunkers when needed. Like if we see a push coming out. I don't know. Did you see this push coming?
No.
Okay. So
I mean, I saw it here, but like.
Yeah. So go back and let's identify what we should have had in position there. Because these games where everything's wrong, it's obviously like, it's so easy to make these mistakes, but going through and systematically saying, well, what's the comeback play next time? It's like, all right, I should have had a Marine spotter out or something, maybe.
So typically Terrans in his position go pretty heavy on medevacs instead of Vikings.
Yeah.
Because they're a lot easier to end the game with. So the rule of thumb is kind of like, if you're ahead, make medevacs, and if you're behind, make Vikings. Because you just need to survive.
It's a little stylistic to each player, though, right? Like Hero Marine would probably always build Vikings. Yeah? I'm not sure.
He goes into medevacs after like 8 or 6 or 8. But European players tend to make more Vikings in general. Like that's and Koreans usually make 6 Vikings into medevacs, and NA players kind of just do whatever.
So we want to prioritize the production more than anything, right? We want to use forward bunkers, non-stop Viking tank. If they do medevacs, obviously, yeah, we need to be positioned. I mean, So pause here. I mean, what should or go back even 30 seconds? What should we do? You use spotting depots when you're behind? Do we use just putting Marines out there on the edges? Because you've got so many Marines in your main. Should we instead be trying to skimp on that and have like just a few Marine spotters out on that right-hand side? Sensor tower. What do you think is the least investment where we can take a little bit of a risk but not too much of a risk?
I don't have gas for sensor tower. Putting Marines out there is probably the best. I know I started putting these Marines there a while ago, and like I'm pretty sure even if they were here for this fight, it would go a lot better. If I had SCVs to pull here, I also could have lived. I just need a buffer for the tanks.
I think we need to fight for that map vision, yeah. Whether it be with a few Marine spotters, but also to see the army, because I think if you saw that army, you would just go, like there's no drop coming, right? I can just pull everything to the front.
Yeah.
Push, because like you said, I mean, it could even be argued this is the wrong decision to be worrying about medevacs this early, and it's actually not until like 9:30, 10 minutes that you should be worried about those medevacs in a big way, because. You know, if people are going 6 to 8 Vikings, well, he pushed out with 6 to 8 Vikings, right? And if that's the standard, like maybe we should always by default be ready for that. So maybe we're kind of getting ready for a potential drop earlier than it would normally even be happening.
So I saw the third gas. So what do I know? Like, I don't know if he's going 3cc right now, which is the problem, I guess. Because if he goes Raven and, like, I think his third CC is really late. I think his third and fourth gas are, like, pretty late, too. Or his third gas is probably fine. But, like, I think his third CC and fourth gas should have been done quicker for how he's playing. So it's kind of hard to tell off that, because you can go barracks, third gas, and then eBay, like single eBay, and you could like doom drop me off this.
Yeah.
Like go for medevac, like doom drop, and that would just end the game, I think, if I don't do what I'm doing. Which I'm gonna be honest, that's kind of what I'm scared of. I also, last time he plays mech a lot. So if you go medevacs and you try to like, you know, do like Marine whatevers, and they go mech, it like not having the third CC and not having air control is really hard.
Yeah, you can do things with pure bio, but
yeah, it's just tricky. Like he's so good, it's not gonna happen, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about drops in that scenario, right? It's all about backstabs. It becomes all about that. But if they're very patient and they're waiting till 170 supply or something, like, and they don't give you an opening, it's very rough. But back just in your Viking Raven, you know, defense that you were trying to do, I mean, Marine spotters would have been massive here.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
Build the bunker. There's a chance we hang on there, right? So I think it's so important. It seems like for me, my priority when I'm behind playing the style you're doing here, the comeback with standard play and just use defender's advantage, is all about, I want to know where they're committing their army, right? So I can commit my entire army to that one location, because I know I'm behind on everything, right? You're still trying to build SCVs. Generally, we are still trying to get upgrades, even if we're deprioritizing them a little bit to make sure non-stop Marine Viking tank comes out. So yeah, I think fighting for that map vision has to be the most important thing, pretty much no matter what their style is. The biggest problem for us would have been if he actually cleared up map vision with a Cyclone ahead of his push. He did not do that. He just kind of brought his Cyclone with his army. It's really fucking annoying in the situation you were in if his Cyclone just runs around killing Marine spotters, because then you have no way of scouting other than a scan, because you didn't have a Cyclone, you didn't have Hellions, unless you actually move out with your tanks to kill the Cyclone, which is awkward and crazy. You're not going to do it. But he didn't clear up the map vision. So yeah, I think Marine spotters would have been our absolute saving grace here for hanging on. So I guess when we're behind, we've got a little kind of rule set written up in the document there of never compromise the Viking tank production. Everything rests on their hands. Forward bunkers, blah, blah, blah. Cool. And Marine spotters is the final icing to make sure we're actually in the right position. Because if it turns out he has gone for the 3 barracks, that can be really hard. Is it worth, if gas, I mean, yeah, minerals are important, Marines are important, SCVs are important. Is it worth just dropping a scan to check what his follow-up was, to know, is it a 3cc? Is it a 3 barracks with medevacs? Is it Vikings? Is it worth dropping a scan?
Maybe.
'Cause
It's
I'm
like
torn about
scan
this in
is
my
like
own
half of a
games.
CC.
It's a
You
lot
know.
of money, isn't it? Yeah, I'm always
Yeah.
torn on this decision because there are games where I can't figure out what they're doing and I'm just not in the right position. I'm like, well, fuck, I could have defended if I knew. You know, it helps you so much if you know he's just on Viking Raven tank 3cc right now, right? Um, I tend
But
towards not scanning and using the marine spotters, but there
yeah,
is an
me too.
argument for scanning, and there are players out there who will always drop that scan and like kind of get the guaranteed info.
I used to be one of those players. I used to scan everything, and
It's,
now I'm like, okay, let's put Marines everywhere. They're just cheaper.
Hells yeah, play like
They
a
can
Zerg,
do quite a
man.
bit, and like scans don't give you perfect vision. They give you like imperfect picture.
Yes, yeah, I agree. All right, I think marine spotters. Is it worth dropping a scan? Not for now. We're gonna rule. We're gonna say, all right, no. We're confident with that. Cool, awesome. I think this is really good, right? Because when you're looking at a situation from behind, you've kind of got to say, how can I make everything perfect to
Yeah,
defend this fucking unit count? So it's just like, it's kind of cool. So if you look in the document, by the way, I've kind of written up that little, we were saying, okay, gambles that can stop it just being a mirror we're too far behind. And that's a really unclear heading. Um, so basically, what was this? We were brainstorming ideas for making comebacks, right? So I do think that faster into heavy marines and medevacs is unused, is underused. I do think it's something that, in general, I'd love to see more people try some wild styles, especially as we get this map pool. This map pool is not as turtle. It's not as much of a turtle fuckfest as the last season. Last season's map pool, I think we're all a little bit still stuck in it mentally. Where we're like, just build tanks and turrets and you fucking sit there for 45 minutes until one of you has more BCs and Ravens and Liberators and shit. I feel like if you look at like what's it called? Simulacrum? Night? Is it
yeah.
Simulacrum? It is
Simulacrum. Nightshade's
Simulacrum.
the other one. They're both
Nightshade,
kind of open.
both kind of open. This map has a lot of movement, even though it's choky as fuck and it's got these weird, blockers and stuff. There's a few wide open spaces. There's lots of flanking areas. There's a lot more areas where like a marine flank on an army coming in from two sides, like you're a fucking Zerg player or a dirty charge lot flanker, is actually very powerful. I also think there's more bases that are more spread out, which just makes it easier to get drops in. I think it's harder for people to zone out those drops, harder for people to turtle up. So I want us to keep our minds open on that one for future, where it might be something we're like, oh no, this is just a default build. Like I'm doing old school 3 racks before 3rd CC, into bio medevac every game, where I'm actually cutting out the Raven part of the game, or I'm only going single Raven every game. And the Raven is literally just there to matrix their Ravens or something like that, And like that's kind of how you play it. I think it's a cool style. I'd like us to revisit it in the future, potentially, like as Terran players, not necessarily me and you. But yeah, other than that, this is what we were talking about. You see where I've highlighted? I like to do this as a little exercise where it's like, look at a fucked up position and then just kind of write a little list like that. And you're probably already doing this mentally, but how often do you take notes? Never? I would imagine never. Most players don't ever take notes.
I used to be better about it. No, I don't.
And I think that's a thing which lets us down. I think, honestly, if you can start doing that every now and then when you're like, I got fucked in this replay, one replay a day, if you can just look at it and come up with some little kind of, I call this like a reaction list or a set playlist, where it's basically just a series of actions. And sometimes it'll be way simpler than that, where it'll be like, I keep messing up against a Hellion drop and I need to remember to shift click those SCVs away, make sure I move command the Cyclone in, so I manually lock on the medevac and then I pull the Marines in and micro those and make sure they're not in a line. Like it's like down to like the tiniest sequence of actions just to make sure I'm more precise on that. Because sometimes I notice there's these like weird habitual problems that pick up, and I'm like, I take way longer to fix them than I need to. So I think it's like a good habit. Also game plan wise, if you find there's like, I just suck against Protoss at the moment, I need a new game plan, going through and saying, all right, I need to remember, I'm going to try and hit with this double drop here. We're going to try to get that Widowmine drop in there. And then we're going to follow up with the big all in with the SCV pull off 3 base or something. But I think having a little list like that really just helps you formalize it in your brain. So what do you reckon about once a day trying to make sure you, at the end of a ladder session, spend 10 minutes watching a replay of one of your losses and kind of force yourself to come up with a little reaction list to whatever you think is the worst point. And what do you think about that?
I don't think it's a bad idea for sure. I can't say I play every day right now. I'm really busy with school.
Summer then, as like a kind of like when you're
for,
really into
for
the
sure
game.
Summer.
Yeah.
Like during summer, I was already playing, like 30, 40 games a day and analyzing all my losses.
Yeah.
Not necessarily making a list out of it, but like making sure that I knew why I lost and what to change going into the same game next time.
I think the most important ones there are, well, like watching every replay, sometimes it becomes almost too much, right? It's too much to remember.
Yeah, just the ones I lose.
Where it's not even, and even just all the ones you lose can sometimes be too much. Or I think like the most important ones are just being like mentally aware, right? Of helplessness. For you, it'd be rage. Mentally aware of rage, right? Right? For most of us, it's like if something makes us angry or helpless. Like helpless, angry, pissed off, or not wanting to digest a loss. I think those are the most important ones to go and just really break down our game plan at every stage and look at every little detail. And those are the ones you can usually get a ton out of. If something leaves you with a fucking off feeling or feeling like you were getting your arms pulled out of their sockets all game and you were kind of helpless, I think those are the best to kind of go back over. So I would argue, rather than watching every loss in a day, if you can find the one where you felt like you had no fucking clue what was going on, or you feel like it was really unfair, those are the ones which you get the best value out of. If you can go through that one systematically and slowly, it's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. So even if you're not playing every day, if you can do 10 minutes at the end of each ladder session, make sure you watch one replay. If you can make that habit, I think it'll actually really help you. You watch the replay where you think you got dicked the most, basically, or you were the most out of control at some point in the game. Like for some people, there's like a certain unit they see or a certain opening where, you see an opening, you go, I fucking hate playing against this opening. In TVT, it's like, maybe it's like this Hellion Reaper attack he did. And even though you know what to do, it's like those are the ones where it's really helpful to kind of calmly go over the Hellion Reaper attack and how your build matches up and just look for the tiniest details. And once you've done that, you've kind of, you remove any fear in your mind or any of that frustration. So the next time you see it, it's more like of a calm, I know exactly what I have to do here. And it's much easier to kind of roll with the punches. Everyone's a bit different psychologically, so we all kind of figure out our own little triggers. But is that something you can relate to, that idea of like every now and then facing a build that you just fucking hate fighting?
I'm trying to think of builds in particular.
Protoss builds are probably the best ones to think of.
Yeah.
I would find as a Terran player, usually someone who doesn't probe scout maybe and goes into some sort of abusive pressure.
I mean, when they don't probe scout, they usually die, so that's good. Like for example, parting.
Parting's great. Never probe scouts.
Yeah, you proxy hatch spine him. I know there's a lot of builds that are like I get really irritated when I see like Colossus openers.
Yeah,
so
that's a good one then.
Those.
That's actually a really good one then. And I'm sure you have responses to it, but it's like it's the thing where you force yourself to pore over it and just look for some tiny little edges and details. And if you can do that, mad value, man. All right, man. I got a jet, but
yeah, I have to finish a paper. It's due in 4 hours.
Oh, seriously? Fuck, man. Sorry for taking so much of your time. Awesome. Well, thanks for hopping on. I think yeah. Try to go back over this document tomorrow when you're fresh, if you can.
Okay.
And try to organize what you think is most important. I want you to come up with your own practice plan for a few of these things, and just be like, I don't care about that thing. If you don't care about something that I've suggested here, that's fine. Put it at the very bottom of the list, or don't even put it on the list. But just try to like write your own little. All right, these are a few of the things we're going to actually focus on from today, or we're going to try to absorb. Just do it tomorrow when your brain's fresh. But yeah, have a good night, man.
Yeah, you too. Or have a good day, I guess.
Yeah. All right, good night, man.
Good night.
Catch you later, bro. Awesome. So yeah, this is so interesting because two things. We're focusing really hard on the mechanics, guys, because that was the initial focus that we're meant to be doing with this coaching. But there's also so much I'm learning from talking to Estrella, Vindictor, and Cuddlebear, these 3 Alpha X players that their manager has been nice enough to buy them some coaching with. And it's fascinating to kind of learn all these little things, because I'm picking stuff up as we go, but there's also things where it's like, you know, it's different talking to them to talking to someone like Showtime, who's a full-time pro gamer, right? With just the raw amount of bandwidth, right? So it's like almost part of the things, it's like I want to build good habits and little things, but at the same time, they don't have as much bandwidth or energy to put towards it. So you get more gains out of higher efficiency things. It kind of like, oh, this might help us out. Let's do it. It's got to be more bam. You know, it's got to hit that point. Vindictor's been practicing camera locations for the first time. So I'm going to touch base with him soon and see how he's going, and we'll see kind of where he's up to. We're going to book in a session with Estrella for later this week, which is going to be awesome. Should be great. Thanks for hanging out, guys. I really appreciate the support. Yeah, it's nice to work with some high level players. Trying to get more talks with pro players going as well. Estrella is full time though. Yes, Estrella does have more time. I mean, Vindictor's still in he's in early college, I believe. How old? Vindictor's like 19, 20 now, I think. But Cuddlebear's in full-time college. They're very busy, especially this time of year. It's not summertime where they get a bit more time to commit to it. So it's one of these things where we've got to try to, and I got to try to evolve my mindset to kind of think about things. I'm also just learning and understanding more, because in the past, I've just never worked with Terran players as much. It's been a long time since I've done like even What If Wednesdays or Pro Talk with Terran players. Because back when we did like Pro Talk, which was a show where I get pro gamers to talk over their matches, it was mostly Zergs and Protoss having those deep runs. But you know what? Maybe I should I'll try and get Special on for a show one day. I know everyone's been craving Special, talking more. Everyone loved him at Home Story Cup, so it should be awesome. Fucking finals, GG's, man. Good shit, Cuddlebear, man. I'm gonna keep learning, and with you guys and stuff, and it should be a lot of fun. So let's keep it up.